if you guys can genuinely take all this information, synthesize all of this information, and then apply it into your own trading or in your own life, you will become a different person. You will become a different trader, right? You will be able to become profitable, right? Because all of these principles which I'm about to share, this is really like fundamentally how reality works, right? So if you can master these principles, you can pretty much shape reality into whatever you want, right? So these principles are incredibly powerful. They have changed millions of people's life. They have changed my life, and I hope that this will change your life as well. So I believe that life is a video game. Okay, let me repeat that. Life is a video game. And you can either be the victim of your own circumstances, or you can be the programmer that can pretty much define the rules of the game. And reality transurfing allow you to be the programmer. So you're no longer just a player, you're no longer just an NPC, you're no longer just a victim, you are a programmer. Right? So that is what reality transurfing is about. So I have the physical book with me, right? So if you guys look at like my face cam right now, you will see that this right here is the physical book. It's called Reality Transurfing. And just look at how thick this is, right? Just for comparison's sake, you can see this is the thickness of a book, and then that's like an average book, right? So if you guys can just compare, you can see it's like twice or thrice as thick as like a normal book. First of all, what is reality transurfing? Yeah, so I'll pretty much summarize this into like 10 principles that you guys can apply today, and it can just change your behavior as a trader. So, Reality Transurfing, this thick-ass book that you guys can see right here, this is written by Vadim Zeland, who's a Russian quantum physicist. Okay, so this is the guy who kind of knows about the nature of reality. And this term right here is basically a philosophy for navigating reality with less force, attachment, and resistance. Now, this is like my key takeaway from this entire book. There are infinite variations of reality right now. There's a version of you who is profitable, consistent, disciplined, and living his dream life, traveling the world, retiring their parents, providing the kids with an awesome life and good experiences. There is also a version of you who is unprofitable, who is broke, who is inconsistent, who is stuck, who is feeling funding challenges. There is also another version of you, so on and so forth, right? So there are infinite variations of reality. All you gotta do is to choose the reality that you want to move into. So it's not about like working hard and like, just forcing everything, but it's about just choosing the reality that you want to shift into and then just move into that timeline. Right? So if you guys watch Spider-Man, the multiverse, or like, those Marvel movies, you will see there's like multiverses, right? There's like parallel dimensions and shit. So it's something just like this, where like there's different variations of reality, and all you gotta do is to choose the one that you want the most, and then just move into that. That's what I've done for myself. It's like when I was 18 years old, I was broke, I had less than $100 to my name, but I knew I would eventually become rich. I knew I would eventually be able to move into my dream house, retire my father, travel the world with my friends and family, and just live a sick life. I knew that was all gonna happen, and I simply chose that reality. And right now, I am living in that reality. So it's the same concept right here, right? So you just gotta choose the reality that you want. And once again, these 10 principles, which I'm about to share with you guys, will allow you to do that. Now, understand that you cannot control the market, but you can change the way you move through it. So it's something like how the world works, right? You cannot control reality, right? You cannot control what's going to happen. You cannot control when you're going to become a consistently profitable trader. You cannot control when are you going to finally be able to buy your dream car, right? All of these outcomes you cannot control. But you can control what you do on a daily basis. You can control the way you move in the market. You can control whether you decide to take this trade or not. You can control whether you journal and review your trade or not. Right? So all of these are factors within your control. And what we want to do is to influence those factors, those variables, so that we can pull the reality that we want closer towards us, right? By focusing on the factors that is within your control itself. So with that being said, let me introduce you guys to the 10 principles, right? You can see it's a little bit long, right? Which is why I've set this masterclass at like 1.5 hours because I really wanted to make sure that you guys learn something new in this masterclass instead of the same old shit that you guys learn over and over again through my courses, my lessons, and my YouTube videos, right? So all of these are like, some of these are stuff that I've really never shared before because like these are stuff that I've only learned recently. And obviously with 1% Club, I want to give you guys like the updated information. Like whenever I learn something new, I want to like teach it to you guys as well, right? So before we dive into the 10 principles, right? So let me know whether you guys are going to actually implement these principles, right? So if you say that if you want to actually implement these principles, I want you guys to type I am in the chat, right? Just I am. So let me know if you guys are actually going to implement these 10 principles because I need your commitment, I need your dedication, because none of this shit is actually going to work if you guys don't take action. None of this shit is actually going to work if you don't actually change your behavior. Because remember, your reality cannot change until you change. Okay, so yeah, give me like a quick little I am in the chat. And the reason why I say I am is because like those are really like the two most powerful words in the English dictionary, right? So yeah, like I am, because whatever comes after I am determines your identity and that determines your reality. If you guys have watched Sanjeev Masterclass a few days ago, he pretty much talked about the concept of breaking the habit loop, where your identity create your belief and your belief create your actions and your actions create your results and your results further reinforce your identity, right? So everything stems from the identity. So whatever comes after I am will literally determine your reality, right? So thank you for affirming, right? Now that you guys are really committing to this process, I'm going to be keeping you accountable. And I hope that each one of you guys keep each other accountable. Every single time you realize that you are falling away from the track, deviating away from the process, come back to this, right? Come back to this recording, come back to like this masterclass itself. Right, so with that being said, let me walk you guys through the first principle. So once again, these are 10 principles where it literally took me from, making $100 a trade to making $1 million a trade, right? Like just recently, I had my biggest trading day yet, made $1.1 million on a single trade. That has never happened before in my entire life. I'm going to walk you guys through the story about that later on, but that was also after I lost like a significant amount of money as well, right? But with that being said, let's dive into the first principle first. The first principle is that the market is a mirror. This is the concept that you probably hear Sanjeev talk about as well and other trading educators talk about. Now, I want to like really just put this as the first concept because this is so goddamn important. Your P&L is simply a reflection of your character. So if you do not like what you see in the mirror, you should change the person in the mirror. So perhaps the reason why it's so difficult to trade on a live account with a hard-earned money is because the market exposes our greatest flaws, weaknesses, and shortcomings. And we do not like what we see. Okay, the keyword here is we do not like what we see. That is why it hurts to lose money. Because it brings out the worst of us. It brings out our unresolved trauma, insecurities, fears, and everything. All of that shit just comes out. Right? All of our skeleton in the closet just comes out when we trade with our live account itself. That is why it's so difficult to trade live. That is why it hurts to actually lose money in the market, because you realize that, hey, all of these inner demons that I've been trying to bury it for the longest time has just been uncovered. So if you think about it from that lens, you realize that, hey, maybe the reason why you're not profitable yet is because you haven't resolved these issues, these deep underlying issues. Like for the longest time, I was plateauing at around like 10K a month, right? So I'll make 10K a month in trading and I can't just bring myself to making 50K a month, 100K a month. I can't go from managing a 6-figure account to 7-figure account. So I was like in that plateau for a very long time. And then I realized that the reason why I can't break off the plateau, the reason why I was stagnating was because of the fact that subconsciously, I believed that I was unworthy. I believed that I was not good enough. So as a result, whenever I made some money in the market, I would end up giving the profits back to the market. I'll make 15K, but then instead of keeping the 15K, subconsciously, unconsciously, I will give away 5K back to the market. So I will like lose a trade, maybe subconsciously, purposely, unconsciously, whatever, because deep down, I feel that I'm not good enough. I'm not worthy of the money. So as a result, I stay stagnant for a very long time. And then when I eventually did like some shadow work, did some inner work, and just got rid of all that, like the unresolved trauma and insecurity and that fear, that scarcity mindset, that is where I managed to break out of the plateau and go to 50K a month and then eventually 100K a month, right? That is how I managed to conquer my fear. So that is when I realized that he's right? I mean, I'm right because I freaking wrote this tweet. Your P&L is simply a reflection of your character, right? So if you do not change the inner operating system, your results will remain the same. Okay, so another example is in life, we don't attract what we want, we attract what we are, right? So this is a quote from a psychologist, I forgot what's her name, but she said something along the lines of like, we attract people based on our psychological wounds, right? Which means you don't attract what is healthy, you attract what is familiar. So if you have, I don't know, like some deep-rooted issues with your parents growing up, right? You tend to attract a partner that is similar to that, right? That brings out those similar issues. Now, I'm not a relationship expert, so I'm not going to dive too deep into this, but you guys understand what I mean. So think about the people that you attract in your life. Chances are the universe will send you the exact same type of people over and over again until you learn the lesson. Until you actually take the time out to resolve all that shit that is within you. Now, same thing. Think about the results you attract in your trading. Okay, so really, maybe the reason why you're not profitable, the reason why you haven't taken things to the next level yet is because there is all this shit within you that is like holding you back, right? Subconsciously or unconsciously. So you are losing money. Here's just a quick example. You are losing money because you're operating from a place of lack and scarcity. I'm making money because I'm operating from a place of abundance and joy. We are looking at the exact same market, perhaps the exact same price action, using the exact same strategy, maybe even the exact same trading style, the exact same time frames, looking at the exact same asset class, whatever. But because we are operating using a different inner operating system, we get different trading results. Right? So you can see, just like what Sanjeev said, identity creates your belief creates your actions create your results, and your results create certain emotions which further reinforce the identity. So I will end off this first principle by saying that the market doesn't care what you want or who you are. It doesn't care about whether you have a PhD or MBA. It doesn't care where you go for your freaking country club. It doesn't care who your parents are. It doesn't care how rich you are. It doesn't care whether you want to become a millionaire trader in 3 months or 6 months or 5 years. It only reflects how you show up. So if you can show up from a state of peace, joy, you can approach your trading results with equanimity, right? You can detach from the outcome. The market will reward you. If you can't, the market will punish you. As simple as that. Okay, so that's the first principle. I hope you guys have gotten something about this. So before we move on to the next principle, does everybody understand what I've just talked about for the past 17 minutes or so, right? Like the fact that the market is really a mirror. And have you guys experienced that in your trading, right? So if you guys have experienced this in your trading, just let me know. Yes, if you guys haven't experienced this yet, maybe because you are not trading on the live account yet, you can just say no in the chat. Just let me know whether you guys have actually experienced this in your trading, right? Because I feel like a lot of traders, especially losing traders, will experience this. All right, so we got a bunch of people saying yes, right? So yeah, once again, this is very apparent in your trading journey. I hope that when I actually talk about this topic, I shine some light on this subject so you can actually be aware that, hey, there's all this shit within you, right? Hey, all of these things is really affecting your trading results, right? Yeah, basically, I hope that you can become more mindful. I hope that you can become more conscious, become more aware that, hey, your results is really just a reflection of you because the market is a mirror. So that's the first principle, right? That's the first principle. We got 9 more principles to go. We got 9 more principles to uncover. So yeah, I hope that you guys are going to be staying with me because this is probably going to be a long session. And once again, this is something that I'm genuinely passionate about because I'm all about changing life. I'm all about, raising the collective consciousness. And I believe that if you guys can understand this information, if you guys can actually You implement this information, that is where you will start to realize that you will look at the market from a different lens. You will be able to raise your vibrational frequency. You will be able to not just be a more profitable trader, but also like a much more healthier, happier human. So the next concept is stop giving trading excess importance. Right, so this is another concept that the book Reality Transurfing talk about, which is this concept of excess importance. Right, so it's basically the concept of chasing, right? So I'm pretty sure we are all familiar with the concept of chasing. Let's say you are talking to this partner, right? And he or she ignores you. Now you start chasing him because you really, really like him and you don't want to let him go. Same thing with money, right? Let's say you are living in a state of poverty right now and you really want to get rich, right? You want to, travel the world. You want to buy a yacht, fly a private jet, get a red Ferrari, whatever. So now you really want to chase money. So that is what the concept of excess importance is about. Excess importance is really like what the name suggests. When you put something on a pedestal and you view it with excess importance, you tend to repel it. Right? This is an example that I always use. It's like the more you chase something, the more it runs away. Because the very fact that you are chasing something implies that it is running away from you. Think about it. Let's say you chase a cat. Cat is running away, right? That's why you have to chase it. And then the more you chase the cat, the more the cat runs away. So same concept right here. I'll give you like a quick little example. So when I started trading, I told myself that I would become profitable in 6 months, and then I'll become a millionaire trader in 12 months, right? So this was like 2019, 2020. Obviously, you guys know my story. Did not get there. Hell, I didn't even become profitable after my 3rd year. Right? So I didn't even figure things out for like 2 more years. So that is when I realized that the more you try to rush the process, the longer it's going to take. Because you are removing the energy from the process and you are putting it on the outcome. So now you have less energy, less capacity to focus on becoming a professional, a skilled trader, because you are spending all this time, energy, and attention fixating on like, what are the things that you can buy when you do become profitable? What are the things that you can actually get? What are the material possessions that you can actually acquire once you actually become profitable? So just like what I mentioned at the start of this little masterclass, all you got to do is to focus on the things that is within your control, show up every single day, do the boring work, and just let the market, let the universe decide when you will make it. Because that is something that is ultimately really outside of your control. Right? So yeah, if I were to like just leave you guys with like one piece of advice, this would be it, right? Because the truth is, really, humans, we are incredibly bad with time. We are incredibly bad with expectations, right? It always tends to take longer than we think it's gonna take. So once again, back to the concept of excess importance, you repel what you desperately need. So don't put anything on a pedestal. Okay, like the more you fixate on the outcome, the more it eludes you. So another quick little example, right? So this is once again back in like 2019, 2020 when I was broke and I traded with like $100 accounts, right? Because I work like a 9-to-5 job. I'll also work as a waiter and I had like less than $1,000 coming into my bank account every single month, right? So obviously I could not manage like a 6-figure account and I didn't attempt a funding challenge back then because I really just didn't have the money to afford a funding challenge at all. So I just deposit $100 and put it into my live account. And when I do that, what tends to happen is that I will tell myself that, hey, I'm gonna flip this $100 to $200, right? Because if I do that, then I can actually use that $200 to buy these new Nike shoes that I've been eyeing for the past few months. If I can do that, then I can go and drink with my friends on a Friday night. I can go and party, right? So this causes me to have a lot of like needy energy. Right now I'm like, oh shit, I have to take this trade. I have to enter Euro USD. I have to trade during the Asia, the London, and the New York session. Because if I don't, then how am I gonna make this extra $100? What tends to happen when you have this needy energy is that you put unnecessary pressure on yourself to perform. And then this caused me to overanalyze the charts. This caused me to get lost in analysis paralysis. This caused me to underprepare. And I end up blowing the account, right? So why was that the case? It was because I was rushing to get rich. I was rushing the process. I was putting the money on a pedestal rather than actually really thinking about how I can get better at trading, really how I can learn more about my edge. Now, look at Kobe Bryant, right, who's one of the best NBA players of all time. What do you think goes through his mind when he's on the court? Is he thinking over there about, okay, I'm going to step here, and then once I step here, I'm going to shoot here, and I'm going to make sure I position my hand this way, and I'm going to freaking do all of these backflips just so I can put the ball in? Or is he grounded in the present moment? He's in the flow state. He knows exactly where he should stand and where he should shoot unconsciously. And then when he shoot the ball, it just goes in miraculously, right? So it's like, the reason why he's so good is because he's really like letting the divine flow through him. He's not fixated on, oh my God, I have to make sure I get this shot in every single time. If not, we're going to lose this game. No, that's not what's running through his mind. What's running through his mind is that, you know what? I'm here to have fun. I'm here to obviously crush. I'm here to win. So I'm just going to get into the flow state and just do my thing. And he did his thing, and he became one of the greatest of all time, right? So it's really the same thing when I'm trading, right? I realize that whenever I'm very attached to the outcome, that is where I tend to perform worse. Because like I said, when your energy is on the outcome, it's not on the process. When the process is what gets you the outcome, it's the execution of your trade plan. It's the journaling, it's the reviewing, it's the introspection, right? Once again, the process that actually get you the outcome. So if you remove the energy from the process to put into the outcome, guess what? You won't have energy left to focus on the process. When in reality, that's all you need to do to become profitable. So I end off this principle by saying that the more you need the outcome, the harder it becomes to trade objectively. Because now you are no longer trading the market. You are only just focusing on the trading results. And this causes you to trade your own version of the market rather than the reality, rather than the objective price action that the market is producing right now. So that is principle number 2, right? So when it comes to principle number 2, this is where I want you guys to let me know, what is the one thing that you guys are putting on a pedestal right now, right? It can really be anything, right? Just let me know down in the chat. What is the one thing that you are chasing right now? Whether it's money, success, profits, whatever it is, let me know down in the chat. Because when you guys put it in the chat, I want you guys to let it go, right? Like literally imagine yourself letting this thing go, right? So if you guys put money in the chat, I want you to imagine yourself detaching from the money, right? Letting it go. There's this quote that I've been repeating to myself over the past few days. Let go and let God. Let me repeat myself. Let go and let God. Such a beautiful, such a profound quote, but it just takes so much unnecessary pressure off your shoulders, right? Because what you resist persists. What you tend to attach yourself to eludes you, right? So let go and let God. Right, some people say freedom, leaving my job through trading, debt relief, financial freedom, chasing time budget sometimes, right? So I see a lot of money in the chat itself, right? A lot of people are saying money. That's the main thing that they are chasing. So I hope that you guys have learned your lesson in here, right? And realize that money should really come as a byproduct. It should really come as a side effect of you trying to get better at your craft. You know, you trying to refine your trading strategy, you gathering data that once again allow you to have a profitable edge, which would then allow you to make money in this game, right? So let go and let God. So the next principle is desire versus intention. So this one right here is a little bit similar like the second one, right? And this is where a lot of people have success backwards. They think that, oh, once I have more money, more confidence, more proof, then I will start acting like that person. And then I will finally be happy, right? So people have this backwards, right? They think, I need to have this thing, then I can do this thing, then I can be this emotion. When in reality, you gotta shift it around, right? So instead of thinking, oh, I will have money, and then I will become, I will, take the trade according to my trade plan, then I'll finally be happy, shift it around. The real shift is adopting this thing called be, do, have, right? So you don't have to have the results before becoming the person. You first become the identity of the person who creates those results. Because when you shift your identity, you tend to shift your belief, you tend to shift your inner operating system, you tend to shift your actions, you tend to experience the results that comes with those actions that is aligned with your higher self. You tend to experience the emotions from the results, and this further reinforces your identity. So a struggling trader says something along the lines of, when I'm profitable, then I will follow my trading plan. Then I will follow my trading rules. A disciplined trader, right? Notice how I didn't say a profitable trader. I said a disciplined trader. So this could literally be someone who is not profitable yet. But because he played the long game, because he's fixated on the process, he identifies himself as a disciplined trader. So he says something like, I follow my trading rules because that's who I am. So it's like, that's the fundamental difference, right? It's like these two guys, like I said, they may be viewing the same market, using the same strategy, but because they have a different identity, they tend to get different results. So stop asking, what do I need to have? And start asking, who do I need to become? Because identity creates behavior, and behavior creates results. So I believe that this is something that you guys have really learned in the self-transcendence course module, which is why I'm not going to dive too deep into this principle. But this is one of my favorite quotes of all time. Everybody wants the view, which is your desire, but nobody wants the climb, which is the intention. And if you apply that to trading, is everybody wants the lifestyle, the money, the freedom, which is the desire, but nobody wants to lose money. So it's like everybody wants to go to heaven, but nobody wants to go through hell. Just understand that at the end of the day, nothing is free in this world. Everything you desire has a price. Everything you want has a price, right? So profits cost discipline, mastery costs time, right? Consistency requires you to shop every single day, so it costs commitment. The question is, are you willing to pay the price? Because if you're not willing to pay the price, do not complain about the results you don't deserve. A simple example is that the new iPhone just came out, right? And you see that, it's good, right? But it's not significantly better than the previous iPhone. So is it really worth the upgrade? Is it really worth the price? Well, if you feel like it's not worth the price and you're not willing to pay the price, then you shouldn't complain about the fact that you don't have the freaking iPhone. Exact same logic right here, right? So it's like, whatever you want has a price attached to it. And if you're not willing to pay the price, then you don't deserve to have it. You don't deserve to have the lifestyle, the money, and the freedom. And in trading, the price is the boring, repetitive work. The price is time, right? The price is endless amounts of repetitions. The price is continuous learning, continuous journaling, reviewing, and introspection. So yeah, if you guys want to become profitable, are you willing to pay the price? So I'm asking you guys this right now. Are you guys willing to pay the price? Just yes or no down in the chat quickly, just so I can know like who's actually dedicated to the process. Because if you say no, I'll just ask you guys to like just don't waste your time for the rest of the masterclass, and just leave the masterclass right now, you know. Okay, cool. Yes, so much willing, whatever it takes. That's what I like to hear. Dedicated and still not giving up. That's what I like to hear. That's what I love to hear, guys. Okay, so the next is another new concept which I've learned from Reality Transurfing, and that is the concept of pendulums. Now, pendulums are external systems competing for your emotional energy and attention. This right here is a very, very important concept, okay? So, pendulums are pretty much the collective, right? So, there's a reason why a lot of big companies, a lot of big casinos wants to sponsor like the Super Bowl commercial, right? They want a piece of the Super Bowl commercial. Because at a Super Bowl commercial or even at the World Cup, if you put a commercial on there, what tends to happen is that you are able to really just draw the energy from the crowd, right? Because you must understand that on events like the Super Bowl or the World Cup or the NBA, whatever, there's a lot of collective energy. Everybody is like, cheering for the team. Everybody is like booing the other team that they hate. So there's a lot of energy in the collective consciousness. That is why these big companies and casinos, they're willing to pay insane amount of money just so that they can put like a 60-second commercial on there. It's so that they can liquidate all that energy in the collective. This is what the pendulum is about, right? So, like I said right here, pendulums are external systems that is competing for the emotional energy and attention. So, an example that I can think about straight away is ICT, right? So, ICT has a cult-like following of traders, right? So a lot of people follow ICT, a lot of people love ICT concepts, and some people might hate ICT. But the thing about pendulums is that both love and hate causes the pendulum to keep on moving, right? So it's like, you love ICT, cool. The pendulum just moves. You hate ICT, it doesn't stop the pendulum from moving, but it fuels the pendulum, right? So it causes the pendulum to have more energy and more force, right? Because both love and hate is emotion, right? Both are the same emotion, just on a different spectrum. So what tends to happen is that people love ICT, people hate ICT. Same thing as like controversial people, like let's say Andrew Tate, or like let's say, I don't know what I was going to think of, right? But some people love them, some people hate them. What tends to happen is that they become incredibly famous because they are leveraging this concept of pendulums. So another example is the rise of AI, right? AI have become incredibly like popular in the past few years, right? Especially after like 2024. It's been the talk of every single podcast, every single video out there, talk of the world, right? Why? It's because all the attention in the collective is going into that. So that's what the pendulums is about. And the thing about the pendulums is that destructive pendulums, which is really like most of the pendulums out there, they exist to steal your attention and energy from the things that matter the most. Okay, so think about it, right? Okay, if right now you go onto social media and you saw like, I don't know, ICT concepts, and all of these ICT concepts saying that they have made X amount of money from trading, they've made $5,000 today, and you are in the midst of starting the materials in the 1% club, you are in the midst of starting market mechanics, but then you go to Instagram, you go to X, you see all these ICT traders making money. Now you start to get distracted. Now you start to get drawn to this pendulum. And now you're like, oh shit, maybe I should try that instead, because like, that guy just made money using ICT concepts. So maybe I should deviate from the process and put my attention and energy into that instead of doing what works, right? So that's really the concept of disruptive pendulums. And there's some other examples right here, like social media, prop firm challenges, other traders, P&L, Discord. Social media is a big one, but you guys get the point right here. It's like, that's why I always say, do not get distracted by the women in the red dress, right? And the thing is, you cannot try to avoid it, right? Because like I said earlier, what you resist persists. The more you try to suppress all of these destructive pendulums that is trying to steal your attention and energy, the more energy you give it. The more energy you give it. So the tip here isn't like follow it or avoid it. The tip here is to just ignore it. It's to ignore that it even exists, right? So for me personally, I tend to like not use social media at all, because I realize that whenever I use social media, I get sucked into comparison. I start comparing myself with this other trading guru who's flying on a private jet, driving a red Ferrari. And I start to think to myself, okay, I have the money to do so. Why am I not doing that so I can, have like a better marketing strategy so I can actually attract more traders? It's like all of this conflict starts appearing when I scroll social media. And I realize that the more I try to ignore that freaking trading guru, the more I think about him, and the bigger his brand gets and the more money he makes from flexing or whatever, right? So that's where I realized that, let me not try to avoid it. Let me not try to follow it. Let me just ignore it. And I just not use social media at all, right? So another example, which could be like the same sort of like thing as like what you guys might experience, because this is something that I experienced in my first few years of trading, and till this day, I still experience it. And that is comparison. Let's say you go onto Instagram or X, you see someone posting a $10,000 payout from FTMO. And then right now, you're still in the midst of going through the lessons, going through the courses, creating a trade plan, maybe even backtesting your strategy. You haven't even started trading on a live account or a funded account yet. But now, because you see this other person who's getting the results they want, guess what? You rush the process, right? You start to compare your chapter 1 with someone else chapter 10. This destroys patience, once again, taking away your energy from the process into the outcome. And now you start to go to your trading account, you start to open a live trading account, you start sizing up even, you start over leveraging because you want to make that money right now. You want that lifestyle right now. When in reality, you are not even prepared to start a live account. You are not even prepared to handle the emotional turmoil that comes with live trading. But because of that comparison, because of that little highlight reel that you see on Instagram, you pretty much deviated from the process. That is why pendulums are so destructive. It's because they take away your time, your energy, your attention on the things that actually matter the most, the things that actually move the needle, right? So I define distraction as anything that doesn't move you closer to your goal. So if social media doesn't move you closer towards your goal, then it's a distraction. If watching Netflix or maybe even learning about a completely different market or asset class doesn't move you closer to your goal, even though it's like sort of like a productive task, it is still a distraction. Right? So that is the concept of pendulums. Before I move on, just let me know what is your version of the pendulum, right? What is the one thing that is really stealing your attention and your energy right now? What is that thing that is sucking your attention right now, that is causing you to deviate from the process, right? So let me know down in the chat, like, what is your pendulum? Social media and sun. I don't think sun is a pendulum, but yeah, like this, your sun does steal your attention and love, right? Work, YouTube, Facebook, got you. Comparing myself to others, right? Pets, okay, got you. Yeah, so yeah, I hope that once again, by shining light on this, right? I'm not, okay, once again, right? All of these concepts are not here to cause you to renounce it from the world, right? It's not like, okay, I'm gonna learn all of these concepts, I'm gonna go and shave my head and be a monk and like just detach from the world and just become like someone that is away from the material world and just someone who is like not interested in becoming materially successful. No, that's not all of these concepts are. The reason why I'm walking you guys through all of these concepts is so that you guys can be aware of it. Because if you're not aware of it, if you're unconscious, then it's very difficult for you to like just create your dream life, right? Because I believe that we are all creators. We are all co-creating. We are never not manifesting. So every single thought that you think of right now, every single belief you have is subconsciously or unconsciously influencing your life, influencing your reality. So I hope that when I share all of this stuff right here, you guys become aware of these concepts, and the next time something's appear in your life, right, you notice that, hey, it's actually this thing that Brad talks about. Oh, I'm getting distracted by social media. Oh, that's actually the pendulum that Brad was talking about during the Reality Transurfing masterclass. So let me just detach from it. Let me just get away from it, right? So it's like, when I talk about these concepts, I hope that you guys can really understand them, and then you guys can apply them and just become more conscious and just create whatever that you want to create. Is it a pendulum to read books that are not about trading? It's not a pendulum. Once again, a pendulum is anything that distract you from the path. So if the books that you read about trading, that is not about trading, actually allows you to become a more better or more profitable trader, then it's not a pendulum. So the next concept that I want to talk about is stop fighting the market. Now, when it comes to fighting the market, this is something that a lot of traders like to do, right? Even though you don't realize it, but this is something that you do. Your emotions are not the problem. Thinking you can control them are. That's when you end up fighting the market, and when you do that, the market always wins. So think about it, right? It's the same thing in the universe. The more you try to fight the universe, the more it wins, right? So I want you guys to like just visualize a situation where you pretty much complain about that circumstance. So for me personally, when I was selected as a machine gunner back in the military, I pretty much went through all the different phases of grief, right? So the moment I realized that I was selected as the machine gunner and I knew that I would have a very difficult military career for the next 2 years, that is where I sat there for a moment and I started complaining about how the world is unfair, like everything sucks. What the hell is all this bullshit? And when I do that, I feel even worse than I started off before I actually started complaining. That was because I was trying to fight the universe, which is this force that you can't even like fathom, right? So I believe that the universe, source, or God, or whatever you like to call it, is boundless, is eternal, is infinite, is limitless. Same thing as the market. Is this being which have so much power, have so much control, and you just can't fight the market no matter how much money you have, no matter how much competence you have right now, right? So try fighting the market and you realize that the market always wins. Now, the thing about the market is that the market is neutral, right? The market only does what it does best, which is move. It can move up, it can move down, it can consolidate, right? But that's all it does. It's your judgment about the events that hurt you. It's your interpretation of your losses that make you feel like shit, right? So it's not the losses that is inherently bad. It's how you define the losses. If you think that a loss is a representation of how bad you are at trading, of how flawed your trading strategy is, you are inflicting hurts on yourself, right? You are choosing to suffer in that moment because of the meaning you attach to the loss. So if, on the other hand, you believe that losses are data points, they are pretty much these things that allow you to learn more about yourself and your strategy, and you can actually use them to grow, you can actually use them to improve your trade plan, then now you realize that it's not actually bad. It's actually kind of good if you think about it. And now your interpretation is completely different, and now you feel less shit, right? It's not that you don't feel shit, you still feel shit, but you feel less shit because you are not so like attached to your own meaning of the loss itself. So that's what this concept is really about, right? Remember, you cannot control the outcome, but you can control your response to the outcome. You cannot control the initial emotional reaction that you feel after a loss, but you can control what you do after you felt that initial emotional reaction. Whether you continue to revenge trade, whether you continue to just try to do everything you can to get back at the market, to make back your loss, or you just let it go and you move on to the next trade with a fresh mind, right? So that is something that is within your control. That is why I always say that there are only two ways where you can respond to your losses. Number one, you can sit there and complain about how unfair the market is, how manipulative your brokers and your prop firms are. You can try to revenge trade, overtrade to fight the market, make back the loss, satisfy your egoic mind, and just prove that you are better than the market. That's the first way, and that's a way where a lot of you guys default to because that's the path of least resistance. Or the second way, which is accept everything as it is and move on to the next trade. Now, you want to choose the option that's the most profitable in the long run, right? Because remember, our goal as traders is to make money. So option number one brings you a lot more losses. It compounds your losses. So when you compound your losses, you make less money, right? Option number two is you cut your losses, right? And you pretty much limit your losses and you move on to the next trade. You save your emotional, your mental, your financial capital for the next trade. So which option do you think is genuinely more profitable in the long run? Obviously, option number two. And not only is it more profitable in the long run, it's also more sustainable because it's the option that brings you the most peace. And the reason why it's so important is because you only play the game where you enjoy playing, right? So you're only able to keep on playing the game if you actually enjoy playing the game. You cannot enjoy playing the game if you are constantly riding the emotional roller coaster that comes with live trading. If you're constantly getting affected by losses, at some point of time, you're just gonna say, this shit sucks, I hate feeling this way, and I'm gonna quit the game. But in trading, you have to keep on playing the game because that's the only way you can win big. That's the only way when you can make money consistently, right? So I would say like just choose the option that brings you the most peace, right? So choose option 2, okay? So that is the concept of stop fighting the market. I think this is something that I've wrestled with for the longest time because as humans, we have this egoic mind that just keep on telling us that we gotta prove to the world that we are the best. You know, we gotta prove to everybody that we are incredibly powerful, right? We gotta prove something. But understand that in trading, you can either make money or you can satisfy your ego. You can either be right or you can make money, but you cannot have both, right? So yeah, choose to make money, F being right. The next concept is the concept of alternative spaces here, right? So we got about like 10 minutes left right here, but I pretty much set it so that this entire masterclass is 1.5 hour long, right? So if you guys are still with me, just let me know down in the chat that you guys are going to be staying through for the next 30 minutes or so because I'm going to try to wrap this up as much as humanly possible. If you guys need to leave soon, it's fine as well, right? I completely understand. Just make sure that you guys watch the rest of the recording itself. Yeah, I'm going to be here. Thank you guys. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. I believe that your attention is the most valuable thing in the entire world, right? So I really want to make sure that I actually value it. I love it. And also, I just try my best to make sure that I deliver whatever I promised at the start of this. Okay, so the next concept is this concept of alternative spaces, right? So this kind of ties into like what I mentioned earlier on at the start of this coaching call. And when I talk about masterclass, when I talk about how there's infinite variations of reality. Our reality is only one manifestation of what could be. The alternative spaces is the entirety of anything that could be. So this is an example which I want to share with you guys, right? This is something that a lot of people is talking about right now. One of the main objections for AI is that eventually AI will take over the world. You know, it would be something like the Terminator, right? Where it will go around and just control humans because humans become like, it's no longer the smartest and the strongest species in the food chain, right? So it's gonna like start taking over the world. So there is two groups of people right now. There's one group that believe that AI will eventually destroy the world, right? Destroy humans and cause humans to go to extinction. And then there's another group of people who believe that we can use AI for good. We can use AI for the advancement of civilization. We can actually use it to really get where we are trying to go. Use it to unlock the secrets of the universe. So option 1 is the negative sort of like view of AI. Option number 2 is the positive view of AI. I want you guys to let me know, which one do you guys believe in? Option number 1 or option number 2? Do you believe that AI is here to like run the world, or do you believe that AI is going to be good and beneficial to the world, right? So option 1 or option 2? Let me know down in the chat, like which one is the one that you guys believe in? A bit of both. Okay, now the reason why I'm asking you guys this is because I want you guys to apply this principle right now in this exact moment right now. Okay, so option 1 or option 2? A lot of people say option 2, right? A lot of people say both. A lot of people say 1.5 in the middle. Both, you can build or destroy. All right, cool. Now you want to hear my answer? So I believe in option 2. Now let's go back to the concept of reality transurfing, where we talk about how there's infinite variations of reality. And all you gotta do is to choose the reality you want to shift into. I choose to believe in option 2. I choose to believe that we are living in God's universe, which means that we are going to use AI for good. We are going to use it to increase our productivity, and we are going to use it to like raise the collective consciousness. We are going to use it to advance the entire human civilization. That's the reality that I choose to believe in. Once again, that other version of reality, which is option number 1, might exist. it may exist, but I'm just going to choose version number 2. I'm just going to choose option 2. And by consciously and actively choosing this option, my timeline is going to shift into that option. So 50 years from now, 60 years from now, 80 years from now, I'm going to be living in a world where AI is coexisting with humans, right? Where AI is actually beneficial to humans, because that's the reality that I choose. Now, I'm not saying that, that other version of reality don't exist, because, like I said, there's infinite variations. So there could possibly be a version of reality where AI becomes the Terminator and like start killing humans, or like start, treating humans as slave, whatever. But I just don't want to choose that reality. I just want choose to believe in this reality, right? So that's what I mean right here when we talk about alternative spaces. So if you apply this in trading context, if you apply this in the market context, that is when you realize that after you enter a trade, or before you enter a trade, from this very moment, like right now, there are countless possible paths that the price can take. EURUSD, NQ, SPY, whatever, right? Oil, gold, whatever. There are countless possible paths that price can take. Price can go up, price can go down, price can consolidate, price can sweep liquidity and then start falling, price can reverse, price can be bullish and then start going up. There's infinite variations, right? There's so many different scenarios which could possibly happen that you can't even fathom with your limited mind, your limited consciousness, right? So there's all of these different ways where price can move. Our mistakes as traders is believing that our prediction has to happen. Our mistake is believing that our limited bias, our limited perception of the market is the only version of reality that exists out there. So as a result, if I look at a chart at EURUSD right now and I believe that the market is going to go up, then that is where I just going to enter for a buy, and I'm going to look for evidence to support my initial trade bias, right? This is something that's called confirmation bias in psychology. So I'm going to assume that price has only one thing to do, and that is go up. When in reality, like I said, price can do all of this other shit, right? Price can go down, consolidate, sweep liquidity, and then start falling. So there's all of these different versions of reality where the market can do different things. So what I'm trying to say right here is that what you don't want to do as a trader is to impose your bias onto the market, is to think that your perception of the market is the only version of the market. That being said, you don't need to predict the future in order to make money in this game. You don't need to predict which scenario is going to play out. All you gotta do is to prepare yourself for all the possible scenarios and act accordingly. All you gotta do is to know that if this happens, I'm gonna do this. That is really like why we have a mechanical trading strategy. It's there to define the rules that determine what we're gonna do next depending on what the market actually does, right? So notice how, when you look at the mechanical trading strategy that we teach here, we are not teaching you guys how to predict the market. We are teaching you guys how to adapt to the market. We are teaching you guys what to do if the market does this. If the market is in a pro trend phase, do this. If the market is counter swing but pro internal, do this. If the market shows you fractal market shift, liquidity sweep, enter for the trade, right? So we have these if-then scenarios because we are not trying to predict the market. We are just trying to take the best course of action depending on whatever the market presents us, right? Whatever information that presents itself in the market itself. So if A happens, I do B. If C happens, I do nothing, right? If I see my trading opportunity, I enter for the trade. If I do not see my trading opportunity, I don't enter for the trade. I stay off the market and I look for more trading opportunities the next day. So that is how you can apply this principle into trading, right? So once again, it's not about predicting what price will do next. It's about knowing that whatever happens, all you gotta do is to take the best action, right? That is aligned with that version of reality. Now, let's move on to principle number 6, which we talks about energy, right? Energy is something that I really like talk about a lot, right? Because this is really all the universe is, right? It's cosmic intelligence, right? It is in everything. So before I talk about, principle number 7, I want to like just let you guys know this principle that we have in physics, right? Everything is always vibrating. Nothing is ever not moving. What I basically mean by that is that all of these solid objects that you can see around you, this keyboard, this mouse, this human body, this cup, water, whatever it is, maybe not water, but whatever it is, right? All of these solid objects, there's always energy inside it vibrating. Because what happens is that a solid object is made up of atoms, right? And what tends to happen is that the energy causes the atom to vibrate at a speed which is so fast that it makes it solid, right? That it makes the object looks like it's not moving at all. And this energy is present in everything and everyone and anything and everything, right? So every single living organism or non-living organism, even a freaking rock, has energy in it. So the entire universe is made up of energy, which also means that if you can control the energy flow, then you can control your reality. So where your attention goes, energy flows. So back to the concept of the pendulums that we mentioned about, the more you fixate on the outcome, right, that is where energy tends to go toward. What you focus on expands in your experience. Okay, what you focus on expands in your experience. It doesn't disappear, but it expands. So let's say we have two traders, right? They take the same trades using the same strategy, maybe even to get the same P&L, but they can have a completely different reality depending on what they focus on. Trader A focuses on, okay, let's say in this example, right? Let's say both of these traders made about $500 right now. Okay, made $500. And then trader A, after he made the $500, he sit there and he think about, damn, what am I missing for this trade? How far I'm behind from my goal of hitting 100K in trading profits? Oh, maybe I should be making $1,000. 500 ain't enough. So trader A is focused on lack. Trader A is focused on scarcity. Trader A is focused on fear. Now, trader B instead focus on the process. He focused on how well I execute his trade plan. Right? What can I improve from this trade? What the data is actually showing me. How I can use this result to improve my edge. So trader B is focused on abundance. Trader B is focused on joy. Trader B is focused on faith. So these two traders, they take the same trades, they get the same P&L, but because they focus on different things, they feel different emotions. And emotions are simply energy in motion. Okay, so once again, going back to the energy concept, emotions are simply energy in motion, which also means that your emotions can really like either repel your dream reality or it can attract your dream reality. So if you're operating from a low vibrational frequency, right, which means you're operating from a place of lack, scarcity, fear, chasing, obsess over like the outcome, you are going to repel your dream reality. Compared to if you're operating from a place of abundance, joy, peace, love, which is our natural birthright, you are more likely to attract whatever you want. So it's all about the emotion, which is really just the energy in motion. And it all stems on what you focus on. So what you repeatedly focus on influences how you think, feel, and act. If you choose to focus on the lack in your life, you are just going to get more lack. More lack is just going to manifest in your life because that's what you choose to focus on. Like right now, if I sit here and I focus on how I don't have a Ferrari right now, what tends to happen is that the Ferrari is not magically going to appear in my life tomorrow. No, what tends to happen is that tomorrow I'm going to wake up and I'm going to think about the Ferrari again. And I'm going to suffer. And I'm going to keep on suffering until I get the Ferrari. But the ironic thing is that the more I think about the Ferrari, the more it eludes me. So Naval Ravikant has this quote where he says that desire is a contract where you make with yourself to be unhappy until you get what you want. So yeah, like understand that whatever you tend to focus on, that really determines the quality of your life, that determines your emotions, and that really like just determines whether you are able to attract or repel like whatever you actually want. So once again, same concept, right? Don't chase the thing, don't put your thing on a pedestal, right? Focus your attention, your energy on the right things, which is really the factors that's within your control, right? Which is building a proper trading plan, journaling, reviewing, viewing the market from the lens of like a professional trader, just being detached from the outcome, right? Just feeling a state of abundance before you become abundant. So before I move on, I want everybody here to affirm that abundance is your birthright, right? So let me know down in the chat, just type this word abundance, right? I want you guys to really acknowledge that abundance is your birthright, right? No matter what circumstance you're in right now, because like, trust me, a lot of you guys, if you're in this coaching call, you're doing a lot better than like 90% of the world out there, right? Because a lot of people out there don't even have a freaking laptop or Wi-Fi internet connection, right? So acknowledge, affirm that abundance is your birthright. Because when you start feeling abundant, you tend to attract abundance in your life. Okay, so remember, be do have is not about, I gotta have the profits, then I can, start following my trading plan, then I will be abundant. No, it's about, I'm gonna be abundant, and then I'm gonna do the actions that a professional trader does, and then I'm going to have whatever I want to have, right? The Ferrari, the lifestyle, the freedom, whatever. Be, do, have. Okay, so abundance is your birthright, ladies and gentlemen. Right, so next is this concept of coordination of intention, right? So bear with me for like the next 20 minutes. So I'm wrapping this up, right? I know you guys are learning quite a lot right now, but I hope that you guys have been taking down notes. If not, it's okay. Go and rewatch this recording and just make sure that you take down some notes and share this information with other people out there, right? So the next concept is called the coordination of intention. Now, this concept really changed the way that I live. So at the start of this year, I did a lot of reflection, right? So, and I realized that I had a very, very difficult life. I had a very unpleasant upbringing, right? Where I pretty much grew up poor, grew up in poverty, had nothing, got bullied as a kid, and then at the age of like 16, I was depressed, I was suicidal. At one point of time, I was actually on the verge of like killing myself. And then, my family wasn't in a good place. And then when I go to the military, I got selected as the machine gunner. And then I had to live a very hard life for 2 years where I have to, carry the goddamn machine gun and just navigate the treacherous terrain in the jungle and just go through intense, difficult training. And at the same time, I was blowing accounts, I was failing funding challenges, I was not getting any views on YouTube, right? It took me so long to actually get the YouTube channel to actually blow up. So at the start of this year, I was just thinking, holy shit, I went through so much shit. Like genuinely, I went through so much pain and suffering. But then I realized that everything is divine. Because this blown account led me to learning more about risk management. This failed funding challenge taught me that I need to focus on taking A+ setups. Oh, this breakup taught me that I have to learn how to be independent. Oh, carrying the machine gun, no matter how difficult or how painful it was in that moment, taught me about mental toughness, taught me about perseverance. So that's when I realized that life doesn't happen to you, it happens for you. So this is a concept that I talk about, right? If you look at God, universe, or source, whatever you like to call it, He's omnipotent, omnipresent, and omniscient, which means He's all-powerful, all-knowing, and He's everywhere. So if that's the case, that means He knows your past, your present, and your future. Right now, we are living in this present moment, but He sees everything. He sees your past, present, future. Everything is planned out for you. This means that nothing happens via mere coincidence. Every single person you meet is divine. The fact that you guys are in here live is divine, right? Because you had to take certain actions before you end up here. Some of you guys might have blown account before you joined the 1% Club. Some of you guys might chance upon my YouTube video and realize after like losing a lot of money, then finally figured things out. So understand that everything had to happen in the exact order it's meant to happen for you to become the person that you want to become the person that God is meant for you to become, right? So that's when I pretty much viewed my life from a different lens, because I realized that suffering, pain, difficulties, trials, tribulations, they are literally there to help me grow, right? So that is really the concept of coordination of intention. What if this setback is working for you? So this is the practice that I did at the start of this year. I just transcended duality and polarity. So I pretty much deleted this vocabulary from my mental dictionary: good, bad, right, wrong, right? Because right now, you guys who is unprofitable right now or is struggling to become consistent, you guys view everything from like this black and white sort of like stance, right? Where a win is good, a loss is bad, a past challenge is good, a failed challenge is bad. But the thing is, you don't know yet what this event will lead to. Because a failed challenge is not necessarily bad if it actually helps you to discover more about your edge and about yourself. And then later you use that information, you use that wisdom to pass a challenge, and then you use that challenge to scale to 6 or 7 figures. So if you think about it, that failed challenge wasn't bad. It might not feel good at the moment. It might feel painful, right? It might feel unpleasant. But ultimately, it worked out in the end. Ultimately, it actually benefited you, right? So understand that every single shit that you are encountering right now in your trading journey, whether you're losing a trade, blowing accounts, or failing funding challenge, or you had a bad month, right, which I have, right, ultimately just understand that all of this is information. All of this is data point. All of this, everything needs to happen in the exact order it's meant to happen. Because right now we are viewing our life from our limited lens, a limited perception, right? We are only seeing this. We are only seeing this path right now. We are not seeing what's going to happen over here in the future. But then this thing has to happen in order for this to happen. It's the universal law of cause and effect, right? Everything, every effect is created by a cause, right? So this has to happen in order for this to happen. So stop asking, why is this happening to me? And start asking, how can I make this work for me? How can I use this loss to improve my edge? How can I use this failed funding challenge to know more about myself, right? How can I use this journal, right, to actually refine my trade management method? So yeah, this comes with a lot of introspection. This comes with a lot of reflection. That is why whenever you guys encounter like a trial and tribulation or difficulty in your trading career, instead of labeling it as bad, as detrimental or destructive, don't even label it, right? Don't even judge it. Don't even give it energy. Just stop and reflect. Reflect, think about what you can learn from this trade. What needs to change? What did this trade expose? And then extract the wisdom and use it to grow. Use it to become a better trader. Use it to actually transform the way that you trade. You don't control everything that happens. You control what you make it mean, right? So that's the principle of coordination of intention. Okay, so remember, life doesn't happen to you. It happens for you. Everything happens for a reason. Nothing is mere coincidence. Now, the thing is, I can't prove that to be true, right? I can only tell you guys based on my own personal experience, based on my own personal life. And the truth is, I don't know whether that's true or not, but I believe that to be true. And I feel like when I started believing that to be true, life feels a lot more fun. I stopped taking life so seriously. I stopped thinking, oh my God, I gotta make 10K a month. And I just live life, right? And just do what I do what I love. And as a result, the 10K a month comes as a byproduct, right? So yeah, like I don't know whether that's true or not. But what I do know is that if you live life using this mindset, you'll feel a lot more happier. You'll feel a lot more fulfilled. You will feel a lot more, you'll feel a lot less stress, right? You have a lot more fun playing this game of life. So that's principle number 8, right? The next principle is the Morningstar's Russell, right? So once again, last two principles, right? So I'm gonna make this one quick. The Morning Stars Russell talk about the concept of intuition and how there is a quiet signal before the mind starts explaining, right? So yeah, it's pretty much the concept of intuition, right? And how you can feel this signal, feel this thing that arises in your guts that is telling you whether it's the right or wrong decision. That's pretty much the Morning Stars Russell. A lot of traders, they tend to confuse intuition with emotion, especially beginner traders, right? When I ask a beginner trader why they take the trade, some of them without a trading plan tells me, oh, I took it because my gut feeling says so. And I always like look at them and I'm just like, wait, so your gut feeling told you to take this trade when you have only been trading for like 1 month, when you don't have a strategy, but your gut feeling told you to take this trade. Oh yeah, that's how it goes. So that's why I realized that they have confused intuition with emotion. Remember, FOMO is not intuition. Fear, greed, revenge, frustration, all of this is not emotion. Doubt is not intuition. Doubt is not intuition, right? So intuition without experience can be guessing. Intuition built through experience become pattern recognition. So it's about having structure in your trading strategy and then giving yourself time to build the pattern recognition skill, right? For you to like just develop this sort of thing called intuition. Right now, I rely on my intuition sometimes because I've kind of like seen this pattern multiple times. That is why when the pattern arises again, I realize that, hey, the last time this pattern arises, price tends to do this. So I'm going to rely on my intuition and take the trade because I believe this will happen again. But at the same time, I will review my trade plan to ensure that this trade actually aligns with it. So it's like, yes, intuition is something that you can develop, which you will develop because it is really just a pattern recognition skill, but it requires a lot of time. And just know that at the end of the day, you still have to rely on your mechanical strategy. You cannot just blindly rely on your intuition because you never ever know for sure whether it's intuition or emotion. So listen to the quiet signal and then verify it with your trading system. All right, so who's ready for the last principle? Because the last principle is something that is very simple in theory, but it's difficult to practice. But also, if you can actually practice it religiously, if you can practice it consistently, this is where you will achieve a heart and mind coherence. This is where you'll feel a lot more calm, a lot more relaxed. You will actually move into the vibration of like a professional trader. All right, we see a lot of I am. Let's go. The last principle of reality transurfing. Obviously, there's a lot more principles because if you guys look at this thing is freaking 700 pages, right? In this masterclass, we only had time to cover 10. Maybe I will create a course module, right? Yeah, maybe I'll create a course module if you guys actually want that. Because I feel like there's a lot of principles that I haven't actually covered in this call. There's just so much information in here that is really beneficial to you. But yeah, maybe I'll make a bonus course or something, right? If this is something that you guys are into. The last principle is the soul and mind unity. Now, understand that we are three-part beings: physical, mental, and spiritual. We are a physical being, right, which is the body. We are a mental being because of the mind, the brain. But most importantly, we are also a spiritual being, which is the soul. Now, for people who don't believe in the soul, this is a question that I ask them. Close your eyes right now, and this is where there will be a thought that comes to you. If you are your thoughts, then who's the one that is listening to the thoughts? If you are your emotion, then who's the one that's experiencing the emotion? So understand that at the end of the day, we have this subject-object relationship, right? When you do a meditation, you start to build this distance, this separation between you and your thoughts, you and your emotions, you and your belief, you and your worldview, whatever. So the soul is the one that witnesses it all. It's the one that experiences everything. I believe that we are eternal spiritual beings having a temporal human experience. I believe that we are an immortal soul living in a human body, living in a mortal body, right? But yeah, that's another topic for another day. But the soul is pretty much what's experiencing everything right now. Okay, so don't get tricked. You are not your body, you are not your mind, you are not your thoughts, you are not your emotions. You are the soul, right? You are the consciousness behind it all. And a lot of us are not aligned. What I basically mean by that is that you say you want to become profitable, but then you actually just want excitement, right? You say you want to become a profitable trader, but you are still over leveraging your account. You are still gambling in the market. You are still trying to make fast money. You can see there's a misalignment. What you say you want and what your behavior reveals you actually want is two completely different things. That is why this concept is called soul and mind unity. It's because we all know what to do, right? Like, think about it. If you have been in the 1% club, you've been through the courses, you know that you gotta follow your trade plan, you gotta just stick to 1% risk per trade, you gotta journal your trade, you gotta review your trade. You know what to do. Your mind knows what to do, but you just don't do it, right? So your mind is telling to do this, telling to go this way, but your soul wants to go the other way, right? Or your body wants to do this, but then your mind wants to do this other thing. So there's an incoherence between the soul, the mind, and the body. What we want to do is to have everything aligned. Because when everything is aligned, that is where you live from a state of, you realize how powerful you truly are, right? So yeah, simple example, you say you want consistency, but do you also want excitement? Do you also want to be right? Do you also want to make fast money? Do you also want to make your losses back? Do you also want to feel the dopamine of being a trade? Because if you want this, then you cannot have this. One is the price of the other. So your mind knows the rules, your actions reveal your alignment. So I want you guys to think about this right now. How many times have you wanted to do something, right? And you know that's the right thing to do, but you end up doing the other thing, right? Who here have experienced that, right? Just let me know down in the chat. Just say me if you have experienced that. You know you shouldn't revenge trade, but you still end up pressing the buy or sell button. You know you should follow your trade plan, but you still end up deviating from your trade plan. And that's really because there's a misalignment. Your external is not aligned with your internal. Remember when I said earlier on, everything stems from your inner operating system. Everything stems from your belief, your identity. Everything stems from the insights. The physical world is simply a manifestation of the invisible realm, right? Like your trading results is really just a reflection of what's going on within you. So it's not about what your mind says you should do. It's about what you actually do. It's about your behavior. And the thing is, we cannot change our behavior if we don't change our identity. And we cannot change our identity if our soul, our mind, they are not aligned. Right, so this alignment can be improved via meditation. Okay, so this is a question that you guys might have next. How do you align everything? How do you align your mind, your body, and your soul, right? And this is really the Holy Trinity. The Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost, right? I think this is what the Bible meant when he said the Holy Trinity. The Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. The soul, the mind, and the body. To me, that's how I define the Holy Trinity. How do you get everything to align? Well, first of all, you got to be aware that you are a spiritual being. You got to be aware that you are indeed the soul that's experiencing everything. Because if you're not aware of that, you don't even acknowledge His presence, you neglect your soul, and you only focus on your mind and body, what tends to happen is that there's already a misalignment, right? Because you just do what the body wants, which is to eat more. So you just eat, right? You just get obese. You do what the mind wants, which is dopamine, which means you scroll social media, you play video games, you watch stuff you shouldn't be watching because that's what your mind wants. Once again, creating this separation, creating this distance. So the first thing is to acknowledge the soul is there, right? And the acknowledgement comes with meditation, right? Comes with meditation, comes with prayer, comes with journaling, comes with doing things that fill your soul, right? Anything that makes your soul feel good, even like watching a sunset with a loved one, even like spending time in nature, anything and everything that makes your soul feel good, do that. Okay, so acknowledge your soul is there, right? Do things that make the soul feel good. Once you acknowledge the soul is there, that is where you really want to define exactly what is the thing that you want to achieve. And this is something that I do with some of the students at the start of this year, which is to get them to map out what they want to achieve before they die, right? What they want to achieve in their life. Because if you can map that out, you have a direction on where you want to go. This is where you won't be lost and directionless. This is where it's very difficult for your soul, mind, and body to be misaligned, because you know exactly where to go and you know exactly what are the actions you should take to achieve that goal. And all you got to do is to make sure that you are acting every single day in a manner that move you closer towards that goal, right? So, for example, if your end goal is to become a millionaire trader, okay, so right now, don't think about, oh, I need to get my soul, mind, and body aligned, right? Because that's such like a spiritual woo-woo concept. How the hell do I do that? No, think about what's your goal, which is what you want to achieve, what you want to accomplish in this one precious life that you were given. And then reverse engineer, right? And think about what are the things that you need to do to get there, which is everything that we lay out in the 1% Club and the 1% Accelerator, right? Whatever program that you're in, we literally lay out the exact steps you need to take in order to achieve the goal that you want to achieve. And while you're taking those steps, that is when you realize that, hey, if I want to become a profitable trader, body needs to be aligned so that I can have the energy to trade, to perform well on the charts. So I need to have good sleep. I need to work out. I need to eat clean so that I can perform best on the charts, right? I need to make sure that my body is optimal for performance. I need to treat my body as a temple. Body. Now body is aligned. Now, mind. How do you get the mind to align? The mind is this thing where there is your subconscious mind, unconscious mind, and your conscious mind, right? There are three different layers to it, right? But once again, I'm not going to get too deep into this because that is Sanjeev's job, not my job. Your mind needs to be convinced that it is worthy of being a professional trader. So your mind needs to adopt the identity of a professional trader, right? Your mind needs to think in terms of a professional trader, which is doing the habits, right? Adopting the identity of a professional trader, doing the behavior that a professional trader does on a daily basis, right? Journaling, following the trade plan, whatever, right? Learning about market mechanics. All of these are things that help the mind become aligned towards the goal of becoming a profitable trader. So now your body is aligned. Now your mind is aligned. And the last thing is your spirit, your soul, right? Some might call it the Atman, right? Some might call it the consciousness, right? There's many different names to it, but ultimately is this energy within you. How do you get the soul to align to become the professional trader that you want to become, right? So like I said, it comes down to practices like meditation, prayer, journaling, doing things that really causes the soul to be aligned, and just realizing how divine and how powerful you truly are. Because if you realize that you are really just an eternal soul in a mortal body, you realize that this is not your first time on earth, right? This might not even be your 100th time on earth, right? You might have been on earth for like so goddamn long. So it's not that you don't know how to do a thing. It's just that you got to remember it. It's not about learning, it's about remembering. And I think that's what we get incarnated to do, right? It's like we come into this world, we forget how divine we truly are, and we spend the rest of our life remembering that fact, right? So that's what you do when you do the spiritual work, right? That's what you do when you spend time with God. That's what you do when you spend time in silence, introspecting, thinking, and reflecting. You do the thing that nourishes the soul, and now what tends to happen is that you have the Holy Trinity. That's what happens when you tend to have really like that spirit, mind, body connection, where everything is congruent, everything is aligned, where you behave in the manner where you are supposed to behave, right? So when there is alignment with all of these things, this is where if you want to wait for your trading opportunity, you will wait because now it's not in conflict. It's not like, oh, your body wants to click the buy button, but then your mind wants to wait, and then your soul doesn't know what to do. No, it's like everything is aligned. Now, when you wait, you wait. Exit. The trade means exit, right? No hesitation, no fear, no greed whatsoever. You just do whatever that is aligned to your being. So that is the soul and mind unity, right? So yeah, for the Christians out there, I believe that a true Christian is someone who can unlock Christ consciousness, right? So yes, Jesus Christ is a savior, is an exemplar, right? He's a role model that we should all aspire to become. But most importantly, it's the Christ consciousness that we really want to embody. Because when we can embody that, right, when we can think, act, and feel, right, just like the Lord and Savior, right, just like the person, not a person, but a being, right, the Son of God, the Son of Man, then that is where we can once again just make the world a better place, and once again we can just really like draw the reality that we want to manifest right now. But yeah, not trying to get too Christianity to that right now. Amen. Amen. Yes, sir. Amen. But that's so hard, Brad. I try so hard to get that. It is hard. It is difficult. It is incredibly difficult. I can tell you right now that trading is going to be incredibly difficult. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. The reason why it's so difficult is because of what we cover on the first principle. The market is a freaking mirror, right? The market is a mirror. The reason why it's so difficult to trade life is because the market exposes our shortcomings. So I'm going to tell you right now up front that trading is going to cost you twice as long. It's going to cost you twice as much. It's going to be 10 times more difficult than you think it is. But what else is there, right? What else is there? Ask yourself whether you're willing to pay the price, because it's not just about the profits, to be honest with you. I've learned so much about trading. I mean, I've learned so much about myself because of trading. The only reason why I've managed to raise my vibrational frequency, the reason why I'm managed to become more conscious is because of trading. Everything that I have in my life right now is because of the knowledge of myself, which is only attained through trading. So yes, trading is difficult, but it's incredibly worthwhile, it's incredibly rewarding when you actually get to that stage. Because I really believe that the market is a representation of the universe, which also means that if you can master trading, you can master life. Just like how if you master life, you can also master trading. It's this relationship which is so freaking divine, and I think that's why I love it, right? That's why I love trading. Right, so I will end off this entire reality transurfing session, which for 1.5 hours, by saying that you guys gotta be able to really like just have that trinity. Your mind can understand the trader you need to become, but eventually your thoughts, your emotions, your actions have to agree, right? Everything needs to be aligned so that you can achieve that goal. If one thing is misaligned, right? If your heart wants this, but your brain wants the other thing, that is where you have chaos. That is where you get lost. That is where you get directionless, right? So that's when you stop trying to become the trader and you simply are the trader. Okay, you simply are the trader. You become the professional trader first, then you start doing the actions that is in alignment with that new identity that you have adopted to yourself. You start embodying the consciousness, the Christ consciousness. You start, operating at a different level. That is where you start to attract the results that you want. That is where you start to attract the abundance into your life. That is where you start to attract the lifestyle, the freedom, the money, like what I've done for myself, right? So yeah, that's Reality Transurfing. I hope you guys have enjoyed this trading masterclass. I genuinely think that this is one of the most powerful masterclasses I've done in my entire life. Like I said, I'm very passionate about this topic right here because like this is the spiritual woo-woo stuff that actually like changed my life, right? And it really just had such a big impact on my trading when I actually mastered these principles itself. I will end off this little reality transurfing masterclass session by giving a little parable for the Christians out there, or maybe for everybody who's listening to this, because I really believe that Jesus was that being who had to come in to raise the collective consciousness. So this is a story about faith. So obviously, some of you guys might have heard the story, but it's basically, Jesus was on a boat with Peter, right, one of his disciples or something, and then Jesus was walking on water, right, because he is Jesus. And then what happens was that, like, Peter asked Jesus, "Yo, how do you do that shit, man? Like, can I do that as well?" Then Jesus said, "Just come, right? Just come." So Peter got off the boat and he started walking on the water. He started achieving the impossible. But then he started looking at the stormy seas. He started seeing the lightning. He started seeing like how dark the clouds are, and he lost faith. He started to get scared. Fear overwhelmed him, and that is where he sank into the sea. Right? That is where he stopped walking on water. Once again, the moral of the story is you gotta walk by faith, not by sights. Right? Both faith and fear forces you to believe in something that you can't see. So consciously choose faith. Consciously choose the lights. Because if you don't consciously choose the lights of faith, you will unconsciously drift into the dark. You will unconsciously drift into fear. Right? So have faith. Just have faith. That's it, man. Like, genuinely. Like, if you guys are blowing accounts, you guys are failing funding challenges, you guys are not seeing any light at the end of the tunnel, just have faith. Just know that you have to go through this path right now. Just know that you have to blow the accounts, you have to fail the funding challenges in order for you to grow into the trader you are meant to become. In order for you to achieve a dream life, in order for you to, get to 6 or 7 figures in funding, you have to go through all of this shit right now. It is the rite of passage that every single trader has to go through, right? And enjoy the process. Right? Enjoy the process. That's what life is ultimately about, right? It's about really just experiencing both the good and bad. Think about how boring trading would be if you win all the time. You wouldn't even want to trade anymore. It's the losses which give meaning to the wins, right? It's the duality of everything that really makes life worth living. It's the masculine merging with the feminine, right? It's the yin and the yang coming together. That's what makes life fun, right? So yeah, man, don't take life too seriously, right? Just know that ultimately, you are really as powerful. You are really more powerful than society has led you to believe. You are more divine than, what others people tell you. Understand that, embody that consciousness, raise your frequency, and just adopt these 10 principles that I've shared today, and just watch your life changes. Watch you shift into the reality that you consciously choose, and watch how your trading results change. Right? And yeah, just like what I've said earlier, let go and let God. Let go and let God, guys. All right, so thank you once again for attending this long-ass masterclass, right? I hope you guys have enjoyed this. I'm going to upload this coaching call or this masterclass recording into the Brett coaching call segment of the classroom, right? So you guys can check out the recording on there. And I genuinely hope this transforms your life, right? I genuinely hope this opens your eyes to this other invisible room that you guys might have not have any knowledge of in the past. Right, thank you, and I hope you guys have an amazing weekend ahead, guys.